Alright, hello everyone. Today I wanted to go live and speak about these things um, when it comes to our hidden world. You know, all these buildings and times and events and things that occurred. It's such a mystery, right? But before I get started, I want you guys to know that this is not scripted. This is literally an open and live discussion. So I'm gonna go ahead and wait for a few more people to join. Might need to shut my mic off or the monitoring button. Yeah, I'm gonna turn that off. It's sort of interfering with my voice. All right, that's better. Anyways, I hope you guys can hear me clearly. If the music is too loud, feel free to go ahead and put that in the comments. Good evening, Chocolate for Hogs. Good to see you. If you don't mind, if you can please let me know if the music is too loud, if it's overbearing, or if it's interfering with my voice too much, please let me know. By the way, how is everyone doing today? Awesome. Thanks for that verification, Chocolate for Hogs. Anyways, how have you guys been doing today? For me, I can't complain. Nothing to complain about. I honestly don't like complaining. I just let things come and let things happen and pass on by. Sort of just roll with the punches, right? But anyways, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Had a busy and long day. Every day is a gift. Indeed, it is. I'm with you on that one. Hey, Brian. How's it going, man? I did get your emails, brother. I will get into those when I do have time. But I'm going to be discussing these historical photos, and I would also like to get other people's opinions on what they think when it comes to these interesting photos. And here I have 50 photos from American life in the 19th century. Here we got a couple walks along the beach in the Atlantic City in the year 1890. interesting. It's quite interesting how when time goes by, you see how drastic the style of apparel changes. And it changed so much. I mean, who dresses like this woman nowadays? I believe no one does on a daily basis. I mean, I could see a man dressing like this, but anyway, I digress. Here we have the U.S. Capitol Dome, keyword dome, under construction. It looks like they sort of renovated it. I don't believe they originally built this. No way. I honestly feel that they literally renovated it. They took it apart and did what they could. I don't know the reason for it, but there could be a hidden reason. And here we have enslaved people harvesting sweet potatoes in the year of 1862. And some of these photos the year could probably be wrong too. So I wouldn't take everything. I would just take everything with a grain of salt, to be honest. Interesting how walking near the ocean in leather shoes, you'd ruin them. Exactly. Exactly. That is funny, right? That's why I said it was pretty interesting. Who would have a wedding with this type of clothing near the ocean? I mean, it's not just water, but it's salt water. And when you get salt on your clothing with moisture, your clothes will dry out and look cracked. It won't look like you want it to look. And in my opinion, these clothes look expensive. They all seem to have money and nice clothes. Right. That's for sure. George Washington interior will give ideas from the murals. But yeah. This building here looks like they tampered with it. They just have at it. We discovered this building. Let's do whatever we can to hide what needs to be hidden to the public. This photo, supposedly in the 1870s, docks of New York's or New Orleans in Louisiana. Look how small these men are. Look how small these people are. Wow. Very interesting. I guess that's Abe Lincoln. Back in 1862 with this Civil War camp in Maryland. And then this photo, of course. The Civil War destruction in Richmond, Virginia. Now, what do you guys think about this here? There's a lot of speculation during this time. And there are many people that argue that this event that happened here was the purpose of the reset and not just the war. Like, I guess the agenda was to destroy certain buildings in order to push out their narrative. But that's just what I've been hearing. I mean, I could be wrong, you know? I'm, like I said, saying all my videos, guys, I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers. And I'm pretty sure No one else out there does. I mean, if you know anybody that can literally point out everything and give you the most accurate answers, like this here was for this and that here was here for that. Like, I get it though. I get it. All I know is there was some sort of reset during these times, and they are hiding something from the public eye. Abe Lincoln's funeral in Pennsylvania, or Pennsylvania Ave, in 1865, with quite a few troops. And of course, you got the construction of the St. Paul, Minneapolis, and Manitoba Railway. A lot of speculation on railroads and these train tracks. There's quite a few theories out there that I've heard. I saw this photo. Department of Interior had plagues about the complete destruction. They called it Sherman's March to the Sea. Interesting. It's very interesting, Chocolate. Of course, you got your horse and buggy. There's a significance to this name, Helena. Perhaps the song from My Chemical Romance, Helena, has something to do with this very name. But Helena, Montana, as a frontier town, lots of horse and buggy, dirt roads, looks like it's been some sort of mud flood type deal going on here. But the buildings don't look like they were built by, the same people who built those cathedrals and basilicas and palaces. I mean, I could definitely see man building stuff like this. No problem. You got a few troops at camp in 1872. And 2 men on a boat. The Annie sails on Yellowstone Lake. Yellowstone Lake. Isn't that where that volcano is or something? The U.S. Congress in 1872 made Yellowstone the world's first government-recognized national park. Photographer William Henry Jackson captured this photo for the 1871 Hayden Geological Survey. The image depicts the Annie, the first boat to sail on Yellowstone Lake. Yeah, that's where that volcano is, correct? It's supposedly supposed to blow up anytime soon, I guess. That's what I heard. You got some Native American prisoners of the Red River War. Honestly, never heard of the Red River War. But these natives definitely have something to do with the reset. I feel like they were captured for a specific reason, and not for the reason that we would just assume, The majority, at least. Buffalo Hide Yard in Dodge City, Kansas. That's a lot of buffalo skin. It's amazing what people would do to animals just to achieve some kind of goal, to make huge amounts of money. And you got miners in Prescott, Arizona. Northwestern Transportation. What does that say? Through tickets to fast freight contracted. So it's freight. Some sort of freight business. Northwestern Express Stage and Transportation Company in South Dakota. Bunch of native teepees. Is that a real photo, or is that like a... No, that's a real photo. Yeah, that's an actual photo, guys. Wow. Same spot, yes, northwest Wyoming with entrances from North Montana and West Idaho and the other directions via Wyoming. But yeah, this is an interesting photo here. Oh wow. Oklahoma land run in 1893. Sod house in the Nebraska plains. You got this gentleman here in a very pilgrimage type of home. A young boy, don't know what he's holding, but then you have a native woman, I believe, there with two other men, one being native and one being Caucasian. Oh, and then you have three people here that I didn't notice at first. So you got these people living in places like this when during this time they had such great construction. Perhaps these people were poor. Beautiful horses. Oregon salmon canning establishment. Thomas Edison in his laboratory. Thomas Edison is most commonly remembered for his invention of the incandescent light bulb. The prolific inventor's work extends far beyond that, with a record 1,093 patients to his name. Wow. What do you guys think about Thomas Edison? Boy with an animal. Oh, so he was holding an animal. Let's go back to that. Some sort of dog? Oh yeah, it's a dog. Something wrong with my eyes today, guys. Yeah, it looks like a dog, a German Shepherd. The Brooklyn Bridge under construction. This one, I questioned too. I mean, just, it said it was reconstructed and whatsoever, but it's hard for me to believe that man built that. You know, especially this part too. What do you guys think about the Brooklyn Bridge? I could be wrong, so correct me in the comments. But it says here, New York's Brooklyn Bridge was constructed in the 19th century to connect Manhattan and Brooklyn over the East River. The 14-year-long project, which would be the first steel suspension bridge, was based on the designs of German-born civil engineer John Augustus Roebling. This photo shows the construction of the bridge as it nears its completion in 1883. The iconic part of the New York skyline took 600 workers and cost more than $320 million in today's dollars. Wow. Wow. I don't know about that, guys. It's a suspension bridge. Back in the day, people built bridges everywhere. Oh. So this isn't something part of the Middle Ages, correct? Because I know there's bridges out there that were not renovated, but they were recreated and turned into bridges. But originally they were aqueducts and stuff like that. Now look at these streets. All this mud and no cement. You know, makes no sense. You got all these trolleys. This building here is definitely middle-aged. And it was during those times, right upon the reset, with the orphan trains. And yes, indeed, it is very old. Tram on San Francisco's Market Street, built to serve as a more efficient alternative. Wow, sculpting of a Statue of Liberty model in Paris. That's interesting. So what do you guys think about the Statue of Liberty? Was it built by man, or was it there post mud flood or pre? But it says here, while the Statue of Liberty is an iconic symbol of New York and American liberty at large, the statue was designed by a Frenchman, Frederick Auguste Bartholdi created the Statue of Liberty upon a suggestion from Edouard Lee Laboulaye, also known as the father of the Statue of Liberty, who wanted to create a monument that would symbolize freedom. Right. Freedom against the Creator, right? You want freedom against Yahweh. So you create this monument, like, you know, an engraved image to show your, what's it called? Your stubbornness. Yes. People worship that, Brian. The statue equals Mother Goddess worship. Yes. And when I was younger, I thought it was a man. I thought the Statue of Liberty as a child, when I was a child, I thought the Statue of Liberty was a kid. I mean, a kid. A man. When I got older, I found out that it was a female statue. So that has a lot to do with the statue itself. Students in New York salute the flag. There's something about that flag, guys. There's something about that American flag too. The red, white, and blue flag. How they program us to salute to it and to honor it. To honor your flag. Honor your flag. You know? It's one of those things. Just die for your country. You die for your country. It's the right thing to do. Right. They just die for your country. It's so evil. So evil the way these officials and governments manipulate the people to do things. The things they do to make us move, right? The things they do to make us move. And when I say move, I mean whatever it is that they want us to do according to their agenda, they will do. They will complete it. Whether you like it or not. The majority of the people will be lost and will be asleep. You used to go to the island and be able to walk up and up the steps, clear into the crown area, and look out. Oh wow, so you've been there before, right, Chocolate? Have you been there recently? This is Ishtar, etc. The statue is idol worship. Most definitely, Brian. Most definitely. It is definitely idol worship. It's an engraven image, you know? In fact, any photo of Jesus is an engraven image. Any photo. Or should I say Yahshua or Yahusha. Not since I was a kid back in the 80s. Oh, but still you've been there. That's pretty cool. Have you gotten any photos when you went there as a kid? Chicago Club, 1870s. Baseball. I always wanted to do a video on sports too. There's a significance to sports, and I know it goes back to the Greek times, the Roman Empire, where they had, you know, where their sports was what you call they had gladiators and barbarians and stuff like that. So I know it was for entertainment and to distract people, but yeah, there's a significance to sports. And again, you got your mud, you got your dirt roads, your typical dirt roads in the 1800s, right? Ringling Brothers Parade in Wisconsin. You got a few elephants. Why is it that this guy looks like modern? But he's not, because there's another guy here dressed in the same type of clothing. But like I said, of course, you have your dirt roads during these times. Baseball is Masonic. Just take a look at the shape of the field. Oh wow. Let's look at that. Let's look at that real quick. A baseball field shape.
According.
Wow. I never realized that. That is insane, brother. That is insane. Masonic symbol. Wow. Isn't that something? In plain sight. You are correct, brother. Wow. Especially this one right here. This black one, if you guys can see. Why isn't it showing it? Well, I have to view the whole thing. But yeah, for the most part, it's definitely... That's amazing. USA plays up the rituals called sports unwittingly. Wow. See, this is why I like to have open discussions. This is one of the main reasons why I like to have open discussions and we all just fellowship and learn from each other. I mean, it's good to have your teachers, but the truth is there's not one person who will have all the answers. It just doesn't work like that. But yeah, good catch, Brian. I'm glad you pointed that out to me. But yeah, this image here with the dirt roads, elephants, Britain Bicycle Club members prepare to race. Looks like another sporting event. Steel Pier at Atlantic City Beach. Interesting. Let's zoom in here, guys. Interesting apparel, right? It's like, one thing I do know is that you notice how modest everyone is trying to be, right? It just shows how classy the world was 300 years ago, 300 years ago. Like the women and the men. It's kind of funny because they have umbrellas. This doesn't make sense. They have umbrellas, but they're here at a beach. And keep in mind, look at the background. Look at these buildings. The electrical wires. I'm not sure if they look like that nowadays. But yeah, this place is jam-packed. Jam-packed to the brim. Look at that. You just see how modest they are. That's awesome. I wish it could be like that today, but unfortunately, I'd just be kidding myself. Another photo here in 1886, Randolph Street Market in Chicago's Haymarket Square. Looks like it says Arnold Bros Market. Wow. Again, you see multiple horse and buggy. You got all this horse and buggy, but you got buildings like this. Right? You got buildings like this, but you got people pulling up with horse and buggy. Makes no sense, guys. It literally doesn't make any sense at all. I don't care how smart someone thinks they are. The truth is, you have all these people in horse and buggy. All of them. Not one of them have a vehicle. Whether it's a gas vehicle or electric vehicle, because I just came to find out that they did have electric vehicles during this time. I won't show that now, but it is in my archives. But they did have electrical vehicles this time. Likewise unto gas vehicles. But look at this. Jam-packed. Again. So much traffic. All this horse and buggy. But you got a nice building like this. You got a building like this. Anyway, let's move along. Again, you got these women dressed so modestly, right? Another thing I noticed, if you guys haven't noticed, the way people look back in the days while taking a photo, just they all have that similar stare, right? It's that similar stare, as if they were depressed or they were unsure of even wanting to take a photo. You know that look you make when you're like, I wasn't ready to take a photo. Why did you take that photo? I wasn't ready. It's almost as if they look like that, like they didn't even want to take the photo. It just makes you wonder. Upon the reset, something happened so bad that it just it did something to these people for them to express this way, The heating systems they used back then in their huge buildings used district heat from the Boilermakers. Number one source made the steam, and it went to an entire block of buildings. Wow. A photo is great. A photo is a graven image, yes. So as an Indian, you didn't want your spirit taken from you and put into a photo. Wow. Wow. Thanks for sharing that, Chocolate. I never thought of it that way. Interesting photos for sure. Yes, Brian. Obedient and all similar. They look out of place. Yes, they do. But yeah, you wonder why there were no photos back in the days when Yeshua was around, or AKA Jesus. Those of you who know him as that. You wonder why there weren't photos. And you know, of course, when you're growing up, you think of those times as very primitive times, you know? And I know it explains that Yeshua, aka Jesus, wore sackcloth and all that, but it doesn't go into detail how it looks, you know, what the type of clothing they would wear. But the only time it goes into detail when it comes to certain apparel is in the book of Revelations, when it talks about the angel who came unto, or I think it was Yeshua who came unto John, and John describes him having, you know, bronze feet and flame of fire in his eyes. You know, it goes into detail on that, but other than that, not with clothing. New York Stock Exchange. Wow, and look at the building they're in. It's like all the important events they do in these buildings. It's no coincidence. Bronze equals color of his skin. Yeah. Yep. Another photo here in 1893. Great Basin at the Chicago World's Fair. Yeah, I remember Conspiracy R speaking about the Chicago's World's Fair. And I believe he caught like some firework type show going on. But just look at this. You got two people here. Then you got a dog. I believe that's a dog. Then you got some people on the other side. Beautiful building though. And of course, you're going to have your water fountains just like your other palaces. For example, Palace of Versailles. Wow, look at this statue. Wow. If anybody knows what this is, or you know what, I think it says here in the description. The Great Basin at the Chicago World's Fair. Also known as the World's Columbian Exposition, was a 6-month celebration honoring the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus' arrival in North America. Among the many wonders on display at the fair was the nation's first Ferris wheel, as well as its first encounter with electricity You hear that, guys? As well as its first encounter with electricity. Let's go back a little bit. Among the many wonders on display at the fair was the nation's first Ferris wheel, as well as its first encounter with electricity. I call BS. I call BS. There's no way they just discovered electricity, or they had their first encounter with electricity during this time. This photo captures the view from across the Great Basin, a sparkling lake in the center of the fair's Court of Honor, which was expertly designed and decorated by a group of artists and architects. That's a good one. There's a symbol in the back. Soul was bronze before it was oxidized. It's BS 100%, as electricity has been in use long before this fair. Indeed it has. And it's sad though, Chocolate, because most people don't know that. And just to be quite frank with you, I am the only one out of my whole family. This is including my cousins and, close friends, brothers and sisters. I'm the only one that actually knows these things and believe it to be true. And it's not just something that you believe, it's you know it because there's evidence for it. Anyways, let's move along. Photo here taken in 1893, steam electricity power plant in Minneapolis. Steam electricity, huh? And the concept of electric streetcars was first introduced in the mid-1880s. There were many who were reluctant to embrace the new technology. The new technology, guys. Despite the promise of faster, farther reaching transportation, skeptics, including Thomas Lowry, who controlled the Minneapolis and St. Paul streetcar companies, were unsure about whether to utilize electrification and what it would mean as far as safety. By 1892, however, all horse car routes in Minneapolis were electric. Exactly, like I said earlier. And the technology had more or less taken over. In this photo, workers are shown standing in a Minneapolis steam electricity plant, which powered many of the city's streetcars. That is very interesting. Wow. I'm gonna have to look into that more. Savoy Process Company in Syracuse. This photo was taken in 1890. Two coal miners in Pennsylvania. Wow. Looks like a hard day. Hard day of work. Oil derricks on a hillside in Pennsylvania. Look at that. This looks like a mud flood type deal photo too. (1890) Horse-drawn combine thresher harvests wheat in Oregon. That's funny. So they were still using horses to do things like this when they had electric cars already. Makes no sense at all. Traveling medicine salesman in Oklahoma. Oh, wow. School children playing in their Iowa classroom. Wow. So this was an elementary classroom back in 1892. I always find things like this to be very interesting because I look at my childhood and just to see someone else's childhood, but hundreds of years ago, is amazing. Look what they were learning. Basically everything we learned in school, right? Cursive, your numbers. I'm not sure what those are, but interesting. Some type of coil deal. These kids are very young, too. It's like, what were they teaching them? Let's read this. Youngest hide, you work and while you play. That is the way to be cheerful and gay. Wow. They used the word gay quite frequently and normally back in those days. Your might. Wow. Electric mining was taking place in Telluride and Leadville, Colorado, and gold mining practices before 1900s. Right. Mines and oil derricks in same photo. Wow. Aloha, Mammy Raymer. Good to see you. Good to have you. Yeah, these kids must have been smart. Well, let's see if I can read what it says back there. The fish is on hand. Yeah, it's hard to see. But these squiggly lines, I guess they're practicing their cursive letters. But I don't know about this deal here. I don't know about this one right here. I can see this one where they're kind of practicing their cursive L, but other than that, I don't. Yeah, gay was happy. That's what it definitely means. Yeah, you definitely gotta look in the details, right, guys? Street vendors selling newspaper and comic books. What was this paper on? Among the poets, a Barnless bequeaths $250,000 to charities in death of a famous actor. The Greys, murder and arrest. Heavy failure. Frequencies. Interesting. It says here in the description, before the newsstand came to be, the news could be obtained from vendors simply standing on the street and selling it on the go. Here, 3 men are photographed selling various forms of reading material, including Snapshot, comic books, Chums, and weekly newspaper for young boys, and a newspaper featuring a front page story on the death of actor Edwin Booth, who was the brother of Abraham Lincoln's killer. Wow. I see. Federal troops during the Pullman strike. I believe that's a steam train, right? Gas. Electric. Denver's South Platte. Denver's South Platte River during the Great Flood. The Great Flood. What was this Great Flood? Perhaps it's the mud flood? Anyways, it says here in the description, tragedy struck Sheffield and the surrounding regions in Colorado Territory when in 1864 a dam in one of 4 nearby reservoirs was breached, giving way for around 650 million gallons of water to escape in under an hour. The flood, known as the Great Sheffield Flood, killed 240 people and left homes and other buildings drowning under as much as 26 feet of water. In this photograph, people in Denver stand along the shore of the South Platte River, which is rushing under the pressure of incoming water from the flood. I don't know, but this photo looks sort of fake, as if it was tampered with. Just look at the water. That doesn't look right. That doesn't look right, guys. You see what I mean? If you look at the water, that it looks like it was photoshopped and they added these little striations or wave different coloration in the water from the debris or whatever, but it doesn't look natural, guys. It's almost as if they're trying to cover up the mud flood event. Yeah, it just looks off. Yeah, they're trying to create their own narrative so that people don't know about the mud flood. And they don't know what truly happened upon the reset. Very interesting. Man, look at these people. This guy's sort of blurry. Are you telling me he's the only one that was moving? I'm pretty sure these other people were moving too. Because he looks blurred out. Like, he looks blurry. And they're just hanging about. What does that say? Stable. I have seen US 85 bridges out in Colorado from 2012 to 2016 and seen 3 major floods which took out I-25, US 85, and the bridges and embankments for miles across. Wow. Funny little ladder laying there. Where's that ladder at? Yeah. And then you got people. What is that? Dogs? What is... Can't really make out what that is. Most of the time, the Platte River is tiny, but it can rage to enormous size in a hurry. Dinner time. Thanks, very interesting. You're very welcome, Mamie Rammer. Enjoy your dinner. Gold diggers climb Chilkoot Pass in Alaska. Ellis Island opens. Ellis Island. New York harbors Ellis Island first opened in 1892. and served as a point of entry for immigrants coming to America. These immigrants have something to do with the reset in the orphan trains. Telephone exchange employees in New York. Veranda of the Palm Beach Hotel in Florida. Look at these people. They just look, again, like I said, they just look dead-faced. Like they just look uninterested in anything. Very weird. Children swim at a public bath in New York. Wow. Telephones took wires and electricity too. Sure did. It's like, why did they need this public bath? Had something to do with the great amount of orphans that just came out of nowhere, right? What's up, T-Loke? Haven't seen you in a while. But yeah, like I said, this photo here. One second, I just had to make an adjustment. But yeah, let me just read on this. Or, hold on. Old-time phones to rural America had common use lines, and anybody with hookup could chat together. Wow. My mom did this after World War II, and had a grand time out on the ranch in Wyoming. Wow, that's awesome. And you're saying, was that only for the privileged, or was it for free? Yeah, what's up, T-Loke? Haven't seen you in a while, man. How you been? Old party lines, you could meet up for a date and go to the show, or a dance and meet up. Interesting. But it says here, record numbers of incoming immigrants during the late 19th century in America created major crises of overcrowding in cities like New York, where space was limited and populations were relentlessly rising. You hear that? Major crisis of overcrowding. Record numbers of incoming immigrants during the late 19th century in America created major crises of overcrowding in the city like New York, where space was limited and populations were relentlessly rising. Exactly. This definitely has to do with the orphans. The orphans that just came out of nowhere. A result of the influx of new residents gave a rise to tenement housing, which were multi-story apartment buildings that crammed multiple families into living quarters with limited space and facilities. Tenement buildings that popped up in poorer neighborhoods of the city were usually accompanied by public bathhouses, where family members could bathe and keep cool during hot summer months. Here, a group of children is shown playing and swimming in public bath in New York. Wow. That is very interesting, guys. I'm gonna have to look more into this. This definitely has to do with the orphans. One second. Anybody with a phone to the house could use the line human production. Exactly. I can definitely see that, man. There's something happened. Something happened around this time. Henry Ford drives his first automobile. Right, so Henry Ford is supposedly the first man to invent the automobile. I beg to differ, guys. He's just another name. He's just another name to put the invention on. Oh, Nikola Tesla invented electricity, or the Tesla coil. Isaac Newton, the apple fell on his head and introduces gravity. Henry Ford drives his first automobile. You guys get the deal, right? They have all these faces, and you got to keep the poker on it, if you know what I mean. They got to keep the poker on their faces. It has to look legit. It has to look convincingly. Hence, poker face. But it says here, by the late 1800s, people had traveled by wagon, stagecoach, train, tram, and trolley. Automobiles, however, had yet to enter the scene until 1896. Lies. When Henry Ford created the quadricycle, his first attempt at a car that would run on gas. The automobile was constructed using iron for the outer body and a leather belt and chain for its transmission. In this photograph, Ford is pictured driving his first car on Grand Boulevard in Detroit, Michigan. He later sold the vehicle for $200. Gosh, I wish I could buy a car for $200 nowadays, right? Anyways, for $200, and used the money to build a second iteration of the prototype model. Wow. Interesting. Young men recruited for Spanish-American War. Again, organized murder. This is what you call organized murder. War. That's what war is. Organized murder and control. And looks like that was all 50, folks. Yep, says right here. 50 out of 50. Anybody want to chat longer? We can chat about these things, and if you have any, thoughts and comments, feel free to put it in the chat below. Good time for it. Organized murder. Right? While you guys are thinking about that, I'm going to take quick sip of my kratom. That didn't taste so good. If I were to be honest, kratom doesn't taste so good. So I'm gonna chase it with my soda. And I'm not getting paid by A&W, by the way. I just like this stuff. I drink it rarely, on rare occasions. Good photos to share and think about. It's past my bedtime. Sounds good. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. And we'll probably do another discussion on the same topic. Maybe something else. Who knows? Just depends on how I feel, right? Other than that, you guys be safe and be blessed. Until next time.
And you can change it in a nick of time. Even if you decide to leave the stars behind. You say one word, I say amazing. You say one word, I say amazing.